Let's now have a look at the invoice details of a service contract. So first, let's have a look at the invoicing tab. Now you will find here, I think, quite normal information like the bill to customer number and the bill to customer address details. But for service specifically, you can find here the service contract account group code. And remember, so this is a grouping of service contracts, but primarily with the intention of the financial processing. Remember the difference between prepaid and non-prepaid accounts. And that is configured here under the invoicing fast tab. So the real invoicing details you can find under the invoice details fast tab. So here you can find actually the parameters and information that is really important for invoicing your service contract. And the first information we find here is the annual amount. And the annual amount is the amount that we will invoice with this contract. So this is the value, the contract value. And as you remember, it is the sum of the contractual values of the service items which you can find on the service item lines, and the value is there found under the field line value. So in this case, let's have a look. In this case, if we scroll up, you see that we have two service items and the line values are 3710 and 2, so that makes up 3910. Then the next question is, how are you going to invoice that? First of all, you can say whether it's prepaid or not. Does the customer need to pay this upfront before the service period starts, or do we invoice after the service period actually has started? And then is the question, are we going to invoice this monthly, every 2 months, by each quarter, half yearly, yearly, or none? So the second question can be specified here in invoice period and whether it is prepaid or not. If we going to invoice by month, then the amount for each period, so you will have 12 periods, is this 39.10 divided by 12, and so you get 3.26. The next invoice period or the next invoice date is actually the last invoice date plus 1 month, and we're going to invoice for a whole month, so this is the period that we are going to invoice. Let's also have a look at the parameters on the right hand side. Let's first have a look at this one, invoice after service. I cannot check mark this. And why not? Because this parameter specifies that you can only invoice after you have created a service order, after that service was executed for a specific service item. So if you look and check the help here, it specifies that you can only invoice the contract if you have posted a service order since the last time you invoiced the contract. And of course, this does not correspond with a prepaid contract, because of course in a prepaid contract you do the opposite. You invoice before service has been executed. So here you need to have posted service before you can invoice. We also have automatic credit memos. That means if you remove one of the service lines in the contract, you can generate automatic credit memos if you want. You can also combine invoices. That means that if you have a customer with more than one service contract, you can invoice that all on one invoice. Contract lines on invoice means that you're going to display the service, the contract lines, your service items in text, in full text on your invoice. And then we have a number of calculated fields that will give you the insight of how many invoices that you have, how many posted invoices that you have, how many credit memos, and how many posted credit memos you have for this service contract. Now also let's have a look at allow unbalanced amounts field or parameter here in the invoice details. Now this specifies if the calculated annual amount is copied in the annual amount field, or in other words, if this calculated amount here, which is basically the sum of the line values of your contract, if this is calculated in annual amount, yes or no. If you check mark this, then it's actually not calculated, and then you are allowed to fill that in manually. So if you want to change that amount there, you can do that, but then you have to check allow unbalanced amounts, and then you can decide actually how to divide then that difference over the line. So this will allow you to have unbalanced amounts in your service contract.